Hello and welcome to the Harvest Highlights Part 2. This is where I haven't recorded anything, but I am busy recording new episodes, don't worry. Welcome to this collection where we're basically going to carry on exploring the proven strategies to grow revenue from your existing client base. In the compilation, it's going to feature more industry experts sharing their practical knowledge. We've had Maria Armstrong from the Pax8 Academy. She was discussing building effective product portfolios. Paul Green, as always, fantastic, breaking down strategic review processes and loads more. Brian Gillette demonstrated the power of empathetic, and easy for me to say, empathetic sales. Juan Fernandez shares his journey to building a 20 million MSP, and James Davis from the TSP Advisory, absolutely awesome, offers clarity on basically developing your USP. Hopefully this will cut through the confusion, give you actionable advice based on really good real world experience. And all these guys are bringing a totally different perspective, but they're sharing that same focus. They're helping you identify and capture the opportunities that are already there in your customer relationships. This insight should give a nice blend of kind of strategic thinking, but really tactical implementation. That's what it's all about. Stuff you can do in your business right away. So listen as we harvest more wisdom from these MSP and sales experts. Grab a notepad, you're going to need it.
I think we walk in with an expectation that it's easy. You know, we sell ourselves this dream of everybody needs IT. That's the first fallacy. So for instance, you made a mention of how I went from 0 to 20 million in 6 years. That's the second iteration of something. The first one, I went 0 to 3 million and it took me 4 years, right? And at that, it wasn't the best success. Like I learned a lot of lessons on that. As a matter of fact, I landed up burning it to the ground originally. When I built my second one, I built in the preface of building for profit. I started at the very moment, at the very first scratch of that piece of that pen on that bar table napkin was, how do I make money at this? And then I backed into what I was going to do. Everything was surrounded around how to actually get to profitability at every moment so that when the quarter went in, the dollar came out. So that's one of the misconceptions I think that we have. And again, it's not a thing that we do bad. It's just a lesson that we have to learn.
So tell me then, so you're writing on this napkin then, you're saying, right, I'm setting myself up for profit first. So there'll be a lot of MSPs listening to this that may be around the sort of 1 million, 2 million turnover mark. What should they be doing? What tactical points should they be looking at, do you think, to be sort of focused on that profit first? Where did you start out on that? What did that napkin look like?
You know, the whole thing was every year, and I used to work on this often, was creating a business plan and revisiting that thing and realizing where am I making, what am I, who am I, and what am I doing? And truing yourself up to understand those things is really what it was all about. I wanted to create dream jobs. I wanted to be profitable. I wanted my employees to be happy. I wanted to deliver services customers wanted to buy. Like I focused on the things that I wanted to do and the things that I wanted to happen. And then I built into that. So paying attention to my, average customer profitability, understanding the amount of tickets that, an end user should have or a customer should have, what amount should I have? Like I didn't look at what the industry says I should be looking at. I looked at what I wanted to happen and then I made my own KPIs. So, and I say this to a lot of MSPs, they ask me, Juan, all the time, like, what should I be focusing on? And I'm like, what do you want to happen? And they're like, this. And I'm like, okay, so focus on that. Well, what's the number that I should be focused on? I'm like, why do you want to be like everybody else? If I give you a number, you're asking me to be like everybody else. Why do you want to be like everybody else?
So applying this empathetic approach to more of a account management, essentially, how can we use that approach to better have conversations with clients about these things that need addressing, to take out this combative kind of stance?
I'd say sort of start infusing your business, your outcome and pain conversations with just more regular human interaction. The first level of marketing and sales that people start to get into is you have to stop talking about services. You have to start talking about outcomes. And everybody's heard that talk track because that's sort of literally marketing 101. Like that's the most simple transition to become a marketer is like tell people what they get by working with you. And of course, marketing also applies to internal, like account-based marketing and internal marketing is just as relevant as outside prospecting marketing. You have to market and create narratives and create awareness for your internal clients. But instead of going to your QBRs or whatever your touch points are, and saying like, hey, what pains are you having, or what business outcomes can I help you with? Just start having real curious conversations like, how has it been working with us? Tell me more about what you do again, Sally. You do this. Okay, what does that mean? Things change a lot. What does it mean to be a secretary in 2025? What kind of stuff are you interacting with every day? And out of curiosity, do you feel like you're getting things dumped on you that other people just don't want to do? These are all basic human conversations, and each of those is going to give me really valuable data that I could potentially use to find opportunities to inject more revenue and improve Sally's quality of life. I just took the textbook questions about give me all of your pains and values, and like, your aspiring business values, and just make it normal.
Yeah. Is your advice to sort of do this with multiple stakeholders, or how do you approach that sort of becoming, really sort of entrenched in an account and building that sort of, the best relationship that you can?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In pre-sales, there's the concept of multi-threading. Multi-threading, to oversimplify the term, just means when you're trying to do a sale into a large client, you want to build contacts and relationships with multiple people inside of the org instead of just having one, so that you can get different perspectives and potentially get you can get a more well-rounded understanding of their need and basically get more ways in to the organization. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just as relevant in account-based marketing. You shouldn't, in an ideal world, you have relationships with more than just one person, but you do have to balance that with in pre-sales, we would call the sales champion. So you have one person in the org who is championing your relationship, but you would never want the entire relationship equity to live on one person who's prone to turn over and go to another organization. I would say if you want to build a deep, deep, deep relationship with somebody, it needs to be at somebody who is lower risk of turning over. So that's probably at the executive level. If you don't have a key executive relationship, then it's a good idea to build more than one. So you're de-risking the chance that your whole relationship is going to walk out the door one day. If you want to be a real strategic partner long-term, I do sort of think that your organization has to have relationships at every level of your client, especially if you're targeting larger clients. I'd say 50, 75 users or above. The end users should know who you are. The middle management should know who you are, and the executives should know who you are. But each of their relationship with your company is different. So if you're an account-based manager, an account manager's job isn't to build a relationship with every end user. That's the support frontline's job. So I think leveraging the rest of your MSPs, the rest of the MSP team, to sort of create multi-level relationships inside of those organizations, and then even training all of them to have their ears to the ground to look for opportunities where we can better serve them. That's the whole MSP's job, to make sure that they renew.
I really like that. There seems like there's huge potential in that cross-functional relationship, but it's often quite hard to actually put into practice and get happening regularly and get everyone bought in, isn't it? I don't know if you have any words of advice around that, how you go about doing that and making sure it actually happens.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think it has to stem from the culture of your MSP. You have to make a core decision in your organization's DNA. What kind of company are we? And I'm very fond of saying a good MSP is not in the IT business. They're in the customer service business. IT happens to be our trade, but you're a customer service business. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what your job is. Take care of your customers. That means every single layer of the organization, your CEO, your vCISO, your technical manager, account managers, your account executives, your BDRs, your tier 1 techs, your tier 2 techs, they're all customer service. So when somebody calls you with a problem, if you remember, my job is to take care of this person, not to just reset their password. My job is to take care of this person, and how the permutation of that in this interaction is an email password reset. To me, that is a font of never-ending patience for frustrating people when you remember your job is to make them feel good and take care of them. So you have to decide that's our role in this company. In our client's experience, our role is to take care of them. And if that starts at the top, it's much easier to disseminate culturally and then to actually hold people accountable to do it. So if you're struggling with that disconnect, that's the DNA you have to sort of iron out on the organizational level. There's probably tons of practical advice even in this show. Just listen to all the episodes of Harvest, and there's going to be tons and tons of little tips and tricks you can do. But I think that's important to remember, that The practical, tactical tips don't really mean anything if your culture is going to betray them all.
I mean, I know every portfolio should be different, really, if you think about it with MSPs. But are there any sort of commonalities in sort of best practices that you see and that you also recommend in terms of the sort of putting together a winning kind of portfolio? You know, is it Microsoft at the center? Are there any other sort of areas that there should be focus on?
I'm glad you bring up portfolio, because I think that's already a differentiator. Like if you look at out there in the market, everyone talks about a stack, and a portfolio is very different to a stack. A stack's very rigid. We're trying to force all our clients into that rigid vertical line of what we deliver, and that might have been good in like 2010 to 2016 when we were trying to fix up all the SMBs ICT infrastructure when it was all a mess. But now SMBs need a lot more options to actually run their business. So while we might still have a stack, it's not really a stack anymore. M365 platform is one of the key things that we provide. And in a lot of ways, that's our modern infrastructure that we provide. And that's how the average partner treats it. So when we look at M365, we're basically just providing them email, some file storage location, and maybe some communications on top. And we're treating it very much like we're an old school MSP, where the modern technology solutions partner is leveraging the M365 platform as an opportunity to not just provide that infrastructure. That's just a given. Everyone's on it. It's then a way to either reduce business risk for the client, and that could be through things like Defender and Purview and things like that to provide governance risk and compliance and privacy controls for that organization. I can extend it out to leverage Power Automate, Power Platform to deliver productivity improvements, so to help increase the efficiency of the client so they can make more profit. And then they can extend out to enabling scale and growth. So when they start actually leveraging collaboration properly, that starts extending out things like Dynamics and Teams, and then leveraging those kinds of tools to then empower their workforce to generate more revenue, grow, extend their market. So even just in that M365 platform, you start to see it as a portfolio of solutions to actually solve business problems and create business opportunities. And as you create a portfolio, that's what you should be looking at, where the average partner is basically just going, copy the leader off the forums. I've got this vague bundle of an offering and probably the good, better, best model to sell as a commodity. And they're basically looking for a checklist to go, what EDR? Do I need EDR? Do I need email security? Do I need this and this? Where when you're a portfolio, you're actually going into your client to understand their business and then bring them solutions. And you can have productized solutions and make that repeatable. But at a high level, there's a lot more flexibility and tailoring for the client. And I think that's a huge distinction, which a lot of partners just, it's not even on their radar.
What does a bad sales process look like? When we say, very often I will go into an MSP or I will be chatting with somebody and I'll say something along the lines of, oh, how does your sales opportunity board look? And I'll just get a blank stare. This comes back to, what are you selling? The sales opportunity board they're not using in any format. So if they have a PSA, they're not using the opportunity board in their PSA. If they don't have a PSA, they're not using an opportunity management of any sort, even in a spreadsheet, to keep track of who they're selling to, what they're selling.
Why is that so important?
So if you think about this, I go out and I see a client today and I have a great chat. A fabulous chat with the client. It's really good. Client says, do you know what? This is brilliant, Maria. Send me a proposal. And I send the proposal. And then I get really busy and I go off and I do a whole lot of other things, not keeping track of that in one central place and being able to report on that really easily means that it can get missed. The other thing that's really important with the opportunities board is knowing at what point are we losing momentum with the sale? At what point is there a delay in my sales cycle? If we can look at that, we can then start to say, what can we fix in our sales process? There's something's falling over. I mean, if you're looking at your existing clients, so we're not even looking at prospects at this point, we're looking at our existing clients. I'm going out to see my existing client and I want to talk to them about the fact that we're going to be putting their prices up. Or we talk to them about the fact that I really love to sell them this new security service we're selling. We start to go through the process. At what point are we getting stuck? Do I send them the proposal and then they sit on it for a while? We need to know, is it our pricing? Is it their decision making? Knowing where the delay is, we can increase our sales wins by knowing at what point our sales process is falling over.
Why do most MSPs get stuck with their sales process? Like, when you go into an MSP and you're looking to help them out, are there some commonalities there with sort of some quick wins that you know you're probably going to be able to make just from the experience that you have?
Where they're getting stuck. So most of them don't have their opportunities in one place. So if they have an opportunities board, I will often hear I'll say, right, show me your opportunities. And they go, okay, cool. So we've got some over here and we've got some over here and we've got some over here. And I go, you're one single pipeline of opportunities. And they go, oh yeah, we've got them in multiple locations depending on what we're selling. So very often I'll see if it's an upgrade or a new piece of hardware for an existing client, it will sit in the PSA. But if it's a proposal for a new client, it'll sit in a CRM system or a quoting tool outside of the PSA. So it won't be in the same place, but it means that they're tracking things differently and they lose focus because they're not they're not focusing on the one spot. They're splitting their focus. So that automatically causes a problem.
But then is there a place for a sort of an at scale, whether it's content creation piece or whether it's webinars or tutorials on, the content, the services that you can offer? Do you see some scope there for potential?
That's a really good question. And I don't believe you should be focusing content, webinars, education pieces on existing clients. And that's because content is like a big one-to-many approach. If I'm talking to a client, I think when you start then applying and saying, hey, we've got a webinar next week and it's about a new security service we're launching, it's almost bordering on offensive to say, and saying to a client, I'm going to try and sell you something. That's why I'm putting on a webinar for you and all of our customers. So I actually think you should go the other way. And when you are dealing with clients and looking after clients, you look for what's the personal touch points I can build in, but you systemize these so you can deliver them at scale. So let me give you an example. Let's say you've got your top tier clients, so anyone that's over, let's say 15, 20 seats. And once every, let's say 6 months, but not in a systematic, it happens every 6 months. You say to them, hey, can we do like a Fix It Friday? And they say, what's a Fix It Friday? And you say, right, we're going to come in, let's say 12 o'clock, we're going to bring pizzas. How many people are going to be in that day? Right, it's going to be 10 of you in that day. We'll bring in 5 pizzas, whatever. We're going to come in, we'll all sit and have a slice of pizza together, and then we're going to do an intense 90-minute Fix It. So all the stupid little things that are really bugging you. So we've logged some of them from some of the tickets, but I know printer 4 is a nightmare, right? So let's give printer 4, let's actually give it some WD-40 and see what happens with that. I know that this is slow. I know that that's slow. Stacey in accounts is always saying about this isn't stable, right? And then just throw them at us. When we come in, over the pizza, throw them at us, and we'll do as much as we can in 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, we have to go because we've all got lives. But you get the idea. It seems like we're dealing with all the small things, and it's the small things which annoy the staff the most. And as we know, the staff are influencers on the decision maker. So when the decision maker says, hey guys, should we sign another 2-year contract with our IT company? And people go, they cross their arms and they go, well, no, you've halfway to lost the contract at that point. Whereas when they go, oh yeah, we love it when they come in, they come in once or twice a year and they do the Fix It Fridays, which is deliberately random. So just something like that. Of course, it's not really random. It's you go and see client A this week, and then 2 weeks time you see client B, and 2 weeks time you see client C. So you strategically drop into your clients with a pre-planned thing, bit of lunch, bit of bonding time, fix some small things. It doesn't even matter what you fix or what you get done. It's the point is the technicians are meeting the staff. You're all having a bit of pizza together. You go away and they go into their weekend feeling really good. and of course, anything you pick up on that day, which is a bigger problem, it just becomes a ticket and it gets picked up on Monday morning. Simple as that. Now, that's just one example, but I think, yes, you need to go deeper into contacts, touch points. Here's another example. If you have an account manager, not many MSPs have an account manager, but if you do, account managers are always
what's the word, targeted, bonused on selling more services. So what happens is they only pick up the phone to clients when they've got something to sell them. And guess what that teaches the clients? It teaches them that when the accounts guy or the account manager is on the phone, they're trying to sell them something. But actually, what if the account manager just phoned every client, again, completely randomly? Oh, hey, it's Thursday morning. I haven't got a lot on today, so I just thought I'd give you a call. How's it going with you guys? What are you working on right now? And what they really mean is, what can we do to help?